Hey folks, this is a very brief introductory video on how to create an electronic concept plan using PowerPoint. So it's not to be confused with a professional looking concept plan or planting plan that's done in SketchUp or AutoCAD or some other proper software. This is just a really quick way of conveying your ideas to your client. Before I begin on getting the site map, which will be the basis for your drawing, I just wanted to go over a few keyboard shortcuts that I use all the time, not just in creating concepts, but also when I'm working in PowerPoint. So one is the print screen function. So that will take a snapshot of whatever is on your computer screen. And then you can crop it to just isolate the part that you want to save. It's different depending on what kind of computer you have, what keyboard you have. If you're using a laptop, it's different. If you're using a dock station, it's different. My laptop is plugged into a docking station right now. So my method of doing a print screen is function and then the Windows button and then the print screen. I also use shortcuts for copying. So Control-C, C stands for copy, to make duplicates of something if I'm doing lines or boxes or plants. And then paste, Control-V. If you have trouble remembering that, imagine the V as an arrow pushing something down onto the page. And then for undo, it's Control-Z. That's how you can undo your last action. So imagine the Z is just you scribbling out what you just did. I often use this if I accidentally delete something or move something and it's too hard to get it back into place. Also remember to save often because interruptions can cause you to lose your way, or if the program shuts down or freezes for some reason, you don't want to lose all that work because designs and concepts can be kind of fiddly work where little adjustments make a huge difference. Okay, so to get started, I want to have an aerial map to work off of. I've mentioned that I use either Google Images or most cities have their own mapping system, which is quite high quality and easy to use once you get the hang of it. In this example, I'm going to use a residence in the city of Coquitlam. So I want to find their GIS mapping software. So I'm just going to type in the city of Coquitlam, and then I want maps. So I'm looking for the website that is actually for the city of Coquitlam. There it is, city maps. And then in Coquitlam, they call it Q the map. So I want to explore Q the map. Sometimes you have to select a disclaimer that says you agree to, use it for proper reasons and not for certain reasons, etc., before you use the map. All right, so here is Coquitlam here, and you can see that it's a drawing-based photo. I want an actual picture, right? So I can go into this base map gallery. Looks a bit different from city to city, but the functions are roughly the same. So the latest imagery they have is from 2022. So that should be enough for me to get a good site map. I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to type in my client's address. So in this case, I'm going to do a project for John and Jane Doe at 1843 Winslow Avenue. Hit the search button, and there it is. It brings it up. So I'm going to use my mouse scrolling wheel to zoom in, but you can zoom in with buttons as well. Okay, so here is my property. I make sure it's the right one in case I typed it in wrong. Yes, it is. And then I center my property in the screen and try and get it as big as possible while still seeing everything. I still want to see the road and the neighbors because I don't want to forget anything that's around it. Okay, so this is where I'm going to use the print screen option. So I'm going to hit function window print screen and nothing happens that you can see. But if I go into my pictures, into my screenshots here, the last screenshot will be what my screen was. This is a secondary screen I had open. So I'm going to hit the crop button here and I'm going to crop it down just to the property that I'm doing and some of the surroundings. I want to get rid of all this extra content. I'm going to keep the property lines in view as well as the street, and then I'm going to save it down here on the right. Okay, so now I have this screenshot. It's number 182, and I'm going to open a new PowerPoint presentation that's blank. So I have it here. If it shows up with a layout like this, do you want to get rid of these boxes? They're just going to get in the way. So if that happens, you just go into the layout button here and select blank. Now I want to bring that map into my PowerPoint so I can start tracing it. I'm going to insert pictures, find my screenshot, insert. All right, at this point you can center it on the page or wherever you want. You can move it afterwards. The point, actually we're going to delete it afterwards. The point is just to get it somewhere in the middle that you can work around it. If you want the drawing to be a little bit bigger, you can still crop it a bit more, just so I can get it to take up a good chunk of the picture. Okay, here we go. So now what I want to trace is property lines, fences, structures like the house and the shed, the driveway, and I want to make sure I record the street in there as well, right? Because that's indicating where our access is. So I go to this insert button and I'm going to select a shape. For the property line, I'm going to select something called a freeform. So when I select this one, I can click as many times as I want. Here, I'll show you. As long as I come close to my starting point, it's going to connect it and make a solid shape. Then I can format it. So here I'll right click on my mouse to open the options and click on Format Shape. That brings up this menu over here. So if I want to make it not have an inside, I can select No Fill, right? See, it's see-through now. I can make the lines fatter. I can change the color and so on and so forth. And that's mostly how we're going to put in the parts of the concept plan. Here I'm going to right click again and I'm going to cut it because I don't want that. So the right clicking of the mouse will bring up all those menus, which will be very helpful. All right, so I'm going to insert again that shape, that free form shape, and I'm going to select the four corners of the property line. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I got to run back to where they started from. So that's my property line. Obviously, I don't want it filled in. I'm going to click on No Fill here on the right. And then I'm going to change the line. So I'm going to make it black. I might make it a bit thicker so I can see it. And then the final piece is normally property lines are represented on these kinds of drawings by dotted lines. So I'm going to make this a dotted line, and that's my property. I hope you're with me so far. We're going to do much more of the same stuff. So I'm going to insert shapes. Now I have a fence on 3 sides of the house. I know this. You'll know that when you're doing a site visit. So I'm going to put it a line on this side where the fence is. So it runs from there to the back of the property. Again, I'm going to change the color black. And then for a fence, just make sure it's something different from the property line so you can tell where the fence ends. This is a good one. This sort of shows, it kind of looks like fence posts and fence panels. So that's sometimes a good one to use. So I'm going to put that just inside. Maybe I'll make this a different color. Let's make the property line blue, and then you can see the fence. So I've got the fence on one side. I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit Control C for copy, and then I'm going to hit Control V for paste. And I'm going to paste the line over here. Now this fence on this side is a little bit longer. It runs all the way down to there. Now I'm going to hit Control V one more time, and this third line I'm going to use for the back of the property. Just line it up corner to corner, and there I have my fence line. Okay, next I want to put in the building structures. So for these I can just use a rectangle, insert, shapes, rectangle, and here's the house here. So I get it roughly close to the size. I'm going to select No Fill, or you can do it white if you want. And then I'm just going to make a simple black line. And I'm going to make it a bit thicker because the house is the main point of reference for the client. And if it's a little bit angled, you can tilt it. So then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hit Control C and then Control V. And I'm going to use the same shape for the shed, but I'll make this one have no fill. And I'm going to make the line lighter because it's not as important. We still want to know where the shed is, but it's not something we want to stress. So we've got those. We've got the structures. Now I want to put in the driveway. For this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and it'll be easier to work with. So you go to the View tab, go to Zoom, and 200% is usually enough. So now I scroll down with my mouse and I can see where the driveway is. For the driveway, I'm going to use that freeform line. I go to Insert, Shapes, Freeform, and I'm going to select the 4 corners of the driveway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then close it off. And again, I'm going to not fill it in. And I'm going to make it black and make the line a bit smaller because I don't want it to stand out so obviously. All right, other structures that we want to represent on this for the design. We're going to want another shape I'm going to use a freeform shape for this concrete patio here. And then it's sort of connected here. So I'm just going to kind of follow the lines of the building and the driveway, close it off. All right, and there's this, if you can see this triangle here, this is like a raised garden bed. So I'm going to use the same shape for that one because that's going to stay in the concept as well. And this one, maybe I'll make it a green line because it's a garden, and I can do no fill for that. So the last things are just to put in the existing features that are going to stay. For the trees, I'm just going to use a circle shape. And because the trees are, right, they're only a small trunk, but they take up a large area in terms of shade, I'm going to represent that using a dotted line, and I'm going to make them green. So now I have my tree image. Select it. Make sure I don't select the map. There we go. Now I'm going to hit Control C again and then Control V, and I have a second tree. So I'm going to move it over here to this one. I think it's a bit smaller, so I'll do that. So I've got my second tree, and then I'm going to hit Control V one more time because I have this small shrub at the back of the house too that I want to make sure it doesn't get missed, or a small tree. So I want to make sure that before I go that I put in where the roadway is. So for that, I'm just going to use a line. And I'm going to run out of time here in the recording. So this is the end of video 1, once I've done this road, and I will start again in another recording. Stay tuned for part 2. Until next time.